Alrighty then. So this morning, we're going to be doing some maintenance on my irrigation gate, lid, valve, whatever you want to call it. We've lived in our house for about 21 years, actually 22 now, and I replaced the seal in the valve about a year or two after we moved in. I tried replacing it with the standard rubber seal that you get, and I just had a hell of a time getting them to having them stay in the valve cover. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the old seal that I put in. You'll notice it's white, not black. That's just plain old silicone. And we're going to take a wire brush, and we're going to remove the excess rust on here, just the surface rust. We're not going to do a completely, totally thorough cleaning of it. Don't need to, because we're going to put a base coat of this Rust-Oleum rust reformer. Seems to work pretty good. I don't know what the active ingredient is that turns rust into a protective coating, because I can't find it on their MSDS. It's probably a trade secret or something like that, but it does seem to work. We used it to paint a trailer a couple of years ago, and that trailer is mostly rust free now. We'll see how it works on a valve. Unfortunately, I didn't have my camera on the charger this morning, so I'm using my phone, so I can't film everything. But the first step I'm going to do is to remove the this seal, which really doesn't need to be removed. It's still pliable, but I'm going to make it a little thicker. This one was a little too thin. To do that, I'm just going to score it with a knife around the edge, and then use a screwdriver to scrape it up. Then we're going to hit it with the wire brush and clean it off and give it a coating of the rust reformer. And then, since it's a red top, we're going to paint it with the red paint. And we'll see how long that works, because when I first did this 20 years ago, I only did was paint it with red paint, and the red paint came off within a couple of weeks. And the type of silicone you need for this is 100% silicone, not latex, not paintable. You want this stuff that can't be painted and smells like vinegar. I bought 2 little containers instead of a big one, because once you open it, it pretty much starts to set up. Oh, and you can't use old silicone. If you have a tube that's been opened before, toss it, get a brand new tube to do this. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, the silicone, even though this is 20 years old, is actually still supple. Mostly came out in one piece. Only needs a little more cleanup. If this had been a rubber, vulcanized rubber seal, it wouldn't have lasted more than a couple of years. So next step is cleanup. Okay, we are outside in my random draft paint booth, and I have cleaned up and removed as much of the surface rust from the gate as I could. Was surprised to find that some of the red paint that I had painted it before was still there, and so I'm going to hit it with the rust reformer and get both sides painted and dried, and we'll go from there. Alright, well, we're going to let that dry for about an hour or thereabouts, and then we'll put the red paint on it. Well, I don't know if that could be any redder, but we'll let that dry. I've only painted the top red, left the bottom just painted black, and we're going to have to let that sit until it completely dries, and then we'll put on we'll put the seal in. Okay. Alright, so now we're ready to put the silicone in. I hope I got enough. For this part you'll need your silicone, a bowl with some kind of soapy water in it, and a paper towel. And basically you just are going to fill it up. Ooh. Let's see here. We're going to want to fill it up in the groove. So the groove is about 75 to 80% full. And this is why I got 2 tubes, because we're running out. Okay. So this is where this stuff comes into play. Mostly it just keeps it from sticking to your fingers. So we want a uniform thickness. Blech. 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 Basically like that. You want it a little bit slightly concave, and you can wipe off the excess on the outside. If you feel like it Doesn't exactly matter. You have a few minutes to do this before it skins over. That's it. Let it cure for, how long does it say on here? "24 hours. And this time it has to be 24 hours. It will, when you go to screw it in, if it hasn't cured completely, it'll squish out. But that's it. This says the silicone will last 10 years. It's my experience that the last time I did this, I used the same thing, but it was white silicone, and it lasted 20 years. Actually, I really didn't even need to replace it. When I pulled it out, I realized that the reason it wasn't sealing well was that there was some branches and twigs and stuff that were on the head and was allowing water to get out. But I figured, it's been 20 years, might as well do it. So there it is. When it's set up tomorrow, I will put it on there, and you'll get to see it. That's it. And there it is in place. We'll find out in a few weeks if the paint stays.